Eddie G. Burney, and this is my writing house. This little house in the back of my backyard in Studio City, California, is where I do all my writing, and it's where I've written all the Humphrey books. It's a very special place to me. Would you like to have a look inside? Come on, let's go. So here we are, inside my house, where I have lots and lots of books, because books are my favorite thing, and I have a nice place to sit. Lots more books, lots of Humphrey, and most of the time I spend at my desk, which is where I write the Humphrey books. I'm not always sitting down, though. I have a surprise for you. It turns out that sitting all the time isn't very healthy, and I was also having a problem with my neck. So now I work at this sit-stand desk. I can sit, as you saw before, but I can also work on my computer while standing. And I really like standing while I work. All I have to do to get it to move is press a button, and it goes up or back down. But you don't need something fancy to be a writer. All you need is some pens and paper and a good imagination. That's the fun part. Speaking of imagination, I always loved to use my imagination. And when I was about 7, I fell madly in love with books. I loved books so much, I wanted to figure out how my favorite authors came up with those great stories using their imaginations. So I gave it a try. I wrote a little story called Teddy Bear in the Woods. I gave it to my parents and I said, I'm going to be a writer. And I never changed my mind. So I kept using my imagination. And years later, one day I was in my son's science classroom, and this teacher had the whole room lined with cages and tanks full of animals. I mean, there were cute little hamsters and mice, there were lizards and turtles, and there was even a big boa constrictor snake that the teacher wore wrapped around her waist when she taught. His name was Lumpy. And I remember standing in that class and looking at all those animals and thinking, I wonder what they think about what they see and hear going on in the classroom. And I thought it would be fun to write a book looking at a classroom through the eyes of a classroom pet. It was many years after that that I actually wrote the book and found out that the pet was Humphrey. Now, the question I get asked everywhere I go is people want to know if I have a hamster at home, maybe named Humphrey. So, would you like to meet my hamster named Humphrey? I thought so. Well, get ready, because here he is. This is Humphrey. Okay, I know it's not a real hamster. I don't actually have a real hamster, and I never have had a hamster. But by writing the Humphrey books, since the stories are told through Humphrey's eyes, we're hearing his voice telling the story. We're seeing what he sees and hearing what he hears. And I have learned to think and act and write and feel like a little hamster. And you know what? It's a lot of fun. That first book was The World According to Humphrey, where Humphrey first comes to be classroom pet in room 26 of Longfellow School and has to learn a lot about humans. We're very peculiar creatures. Little did I know when I wrote that first Humphrey book that there would be a whole world of Humphrey books. There are now 10 according to Humphrey books. There's also activity book, a joke book, a pet care guide, and more books coming out. It really has been a fabulous adventure for me. That curious classroom pet named Humphrey that I dreamed up in my imagination has had a very exciting life so far. And I'm very excited that you will all be reading a Humphrey book for your One School, One Book read. I love the idea of the whole school community reading the same book, and it would make Humphrey unsqueakably happy. So all I can say is I hope you enjoy reading the book as much as I enjoyed writing it. And happy reading. It's been so much fun having you visit my office today so I could talk about Humphrey, but I gotta go back to work now. Time to write another Humphrey book. Bye-bye. Thanks for dropping by.
Here we go.